Hi everyone, welcome to our Beyond Meat's Accusation Analysts. My name is Carrie and I'm going to give you a brief overview on Beyond Meats. Beyond Meats is one of the fastest growing plant-based food companies in the United States. It was established in 2009 and is noted for its various meat products that are plant-based, from burgers, sausage, ground beef, and chicken. It replicates the look, cook, and taste of meat. Beyond Meat products are available in the US, Canada, and in 63 additional countries, with 16% of the revenue in 2019 being from those 63 countries. You can find Beyond Meat products in retail stores, food service channels, and commercial restaurants such as Subway, Dunkin' Donuts, TGI Fridays, KFC, McDonald's, Hardee's, and Del Tacos. Beyond Meats is also currently doing a trial with McDonald's in Canada as we speak, and depending on that how it goes, may produce a potential business partnership for McDonald's and Beyond Meats in the future. Beyond Meats believes that shifting from an animal-based to plant-based will address many global concerns, such as climate change, human health, animal welfare, and constraints on natural resources. Beyond Meats burger produces 99% less water, 93% less land, 90% less carbon emissions, and 46% less energy compared to a traditional beef burger that utilizes lots of land, lots of water, makes a significant carbon footprint, and generates a lot more energy than a Beyond Burger.
So let's dive into the financial analysis for Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat's gross profit drastically changed over a 3-year period. In 2017, the reported gross profit was negative 65.3%, and in 2018, it reported negative 902.1%. However, in 2019, the company showed a positive 467.6% increase in gross profit. This was the first year in a 3-year stretch that the total sales exceeded the cost of goods sold. The skyrocketing numbers suggest more room for growth as the popularity of plant-based products and sustainability increases. By pulling quarterly data and completing a horizontal analysis for Beyond Meat, we were able to obtain a better understanding of seasonality. Here, it is evident that Q1 of 2019 and 2020 have the highest growth rate. The numbers support the theory that individuals may start the year with New Year's resolutions that focus mainly on diet, hence the increased Q1 gross profit. Horizontal analysis provides more insight than a general review of the company's data. This analysis helped us identify the significant changes for Beyond Meat on a quarterly basis. It also helped identify the trend or increased demand for plant-based products.
Beyond Meat's overall financial objective is to increase gross profit, and the company ultimately expects to achieve this goal by reducing the cost of goods sold and increasing revenue. In order to measure performance, net revenue and gross profit are employed as KPI metrics. The financial data is compared using the year-over-year method, which captures the percentage of change from one year to the next. From 2018 to 2019, Beyond Meat has seen growth across the board. Net revenue resulting from retail sales has increased by 185.2% to $144.8 million, and net revenue resulting from restaurant sales has increased by 312% to $153.1 million. Overall, Beyond Meat's net revenue has increased by 238.8% to $297.9 million from 2018 to 2019.
Beyond Meats is one of the fastest growing organizations in the US today. In 2016, their total revenue was $16.8 million. Yet by 2019, their total revenue was $297.90 million, demonstrating a significant growth for Beyond Meats in just a few years. Beyond Meats is one of the fastest food companies in the US. There has been endless opportunity for growth in foreign countries, and Beyond Meats is predicted to open in China in 2020. Due to the environmental impact, the global plant-based market is expected to grow by an estimate of $140 billion over the next decade. However, to succeed in China, Beyond Meats needs to develop production systems, secure retail customers, and create supply chains. To successfully develop in countries like China, Beyond Meats will have to purchase new equipment, specifically cold trucking systems that can deliver their frozen products. Currently, Beyond Meats has begun production in the Netherlands to help meet the strong demand in European countries and avoid the cost of exportation out of the United States. Companies such as Impossible Foods has been increasing its entry into China. However, at the same time, Starbucks is investing in Beyond Meats in over 400 outlets throughout China, which will increase the overall production. Yet at the same time, Beyond Meats will be saving the cost of exportation once developed in China. Although Impossible Foods is a potential competition in China for Beyond Meats recent partnership with Starbucks will make this potentially successful.
All right, so diving into compliance, so the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, also known as the SOX Act, was signed into law in 2002, and it sets rules and requirements that all U.S. public company boards, management, and public accounting firms must follow. The rules protect shareholders, employees, and the public from things like fraud and accounting errors. Beyond Meat was a privately held company until their initial public offering, which took place on May 2nd, 2019. Now, this does not mean that they are immediately required to comply with the SOX Act. There's another law called the Jumpstart Our Business Startups, or JOBS Act, which encourages the funding of small businesses in the U.S. by easing some regulations. Beyond Meat is considered an emerging growth company, or EGC for short, as defined by the JOBS Act. This allows them to delay adoption of certain rules and regulations. So Beyond Meat, they expect to lose their EGC status in December of 2020. Now this means that Beyond Meat is currently not SOX compliant, which we think is a definite red flag. They have even stated that they intend to take advantage of certain exemptions from various reporting requirements that are applicable to this ease of regulations provided to them by the JOBS Act, which confirms this finding. On to internal controls and overall governance. So Beyond Meat's governance structure consists of a board of directors, executive management, and 3 committees. There are 9 total chairs on the board, one of which is held by founder, president, and CEO Ethan Brown. In addition to CEO, the management team consists of 7 other officer positions, including CFO, CGO or Chief Growth Officer, Chief Innovation Officer, General Counsel, Chief Marketing Officer, and Chief People Officer. The 3 governing committees are the Audit Committee, the Compensation Committee, and the Nominating and Governance Committee. The company employees and board members must abide by the Code of Business Conduct and Ethics, which governs the overall integrity of the business. This code of conduct outlines internal controls for things like legal compliance, insider trading, international business law, and many others. Despite their current standing with the JOBS Act, it appears that Beyond Meat has all necessary internal controls and governance aspects of their business in place so that when the time comes, the transition into SOX compliance may take place without issue.
Beyond Meat employs a mix of cause and relationship marketing to acquire new customers and retain current customers. Transitioning to plant-based meals is an environmentally efficient solution to feeding the growing population, and the production process is animal cruelty-free. Plant-based diets also have added health benefits. Beyond Meat's popularity and brand awareness has excelled year after year due to partnerships with fast food and restaurant chains within the food industry. The Beyond Burger is available at over 1,000 Carl's Jr. locations. Dunkin' Donuts, KFC, Subway, and TGI Fridays are additional large chains that have added Beyond Meat items to their menus. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted many food sources and distribution channels on a global scale. The supply of beef products has been limited for an extended period of time. Beyond Meat plans to take advantage of this moment and secure a larger share of the meat industry. Beyond Beef products have always been showcased in the meat case alongside meat-based products. Beyond Meat has made the strategic decision to offer value packs during the current summer season at prices that will tempt traditional meat eats to try out Beyond products and hopefully make a full transition.
Beyond Meat's main competitor is the Kraft Heinz Company. At a quick glance, it is evident that Kraft is not seeing the same trends as Beyond Meat. This American food company has maintained relatively stable revenue for the past 3 years. Though the competition is hard to measure as the company's product offerings differ. Beyond Meat is in its early stages of development. They are taking on huge amounts of debt, doubling annually to expand. Much of the money is spent on R&D, approximately $30 million over a 3-year period. However, the company's revenue has justified their spending. On the flip side, Kraft's income statement has displayed that not much spending has gone into research and development, and their operating expenses have been stable, demonstrating the maturity of this company.
Social responsibility and sustainability is a huge part of Beyond Meat's products. All of their products are non-GMO and a plant-based alternative to the standard beef burger. As we mentioned earlier in this PowerPoint, Beyond Burgers use 99% less water, 93% less land, 46% less energy, and 90% less greenhouse gas emissions, demonstrating a huge social responsibility. Recently, Beyond Meat's productions have begun in the Netherlands, and it introduced a new packaging for its products that is lighter, more sustainable, and fully recyclable trays, utilizing 30% less material and reducing the overall usage of paper and plastic in Europe. However, the downside of Beyond Meat, some would argue that it is great for the planet, but is not a healthy alternative to animal meats. In fact, their products contain a lot of inflammatory oils, preservatives, and artificial ingredients. Beyond Meat's health-related marketing tactics are debatably controversial due to these ingredients, and research has identified several unhealthy ingredients in these Beyond Meat's products. This contradiction in advertisement may at some point cause a social responsibility failure for this organization. So a huge suggested tactic would be to make some revisions to the product ingredients so that Beyond Meat can continue to live up to their sustainable advertisements.
Moving on to risks and opportunities. So it's important to mention that Beyond Meat is a relatively young company in a relatively new market segment. So because of this, we expected to find quite an abundance of risks and opportunities. And the way that we decided to organize this is via SWOT analysis. So in the chart here, you can see kind of a high-level overview of the SWOT analysis and some of the key points that we really wanted to drive through. Starting with strengths. So the company is in a general, we'll say, positive image, very environmentally friendly, all that sort of thing. So I think generally they're pretty well received. They've also shown pretty strong revenue growth. They have some big partners that they're currently working with. And given the current state of the COVID-19 pandemic, they've demonstrated that as a company, they're pretty resilient in that they weren't really affected too negatively by everything going on. Moving on to weaknesses. So there is a history of negative net income with the company. So they've been operating at a loss for a little while, but definitely trending in the right direction. They also have pretty limited product offerings, but we expect this to change given the amount of dollars that they've been investing in R&D. Also, we noticed that their cost of goods sold account was pretty high, and of course, like we just mentioned, the SOX compliance issue. On to opportunities. So one thing we think that this company has going for it is that given the amount of R&D and money they've been investing in the new products, we think that they'll be realizing economies of scale pretty soon, which means that their cost of per unit will eventually be declining as the amount they've been investing kind of gets distributed across all of the products that they sell. They also have pretty promising future partnerships, which I'll get into a little bit later. And then finally, there's certain restrictions with the meatpacking industry that have been getting a little tighter that I think will work out in their favor. Finally, on to threats. So there's definitely some strong competition in this new market segment. We also think that there's a relatively easy entry into the market, considering there's really not a whole lot of regulation surrounding it. And then finally, consumer trends. So we really don't know at this point if the company has proven themselves to stick around or not in terms of this market. So it could just be a fad. So then just to sum up the risks again. So there's definitely some direct competitors like we previously mentioned. To name a few, Impossible Foods, for example, they have the Impossible Burger, which I think is on Burger King's menu right now. Also, Kraft has some competing products in this market segment. The worry here is that these competing companies are going to take some contracts off the table for Beyond Meat, which will hinder their growth. And any kind of partnerships that they can develop right now is only going to make the competition a little more difficult. Also, the ease of market entry. So we do think that over time, this will probably become less apparent as regulations sort of hit and take control over the market. But right now, we definitely think that this is a risk. And also, I kind of touched on the consumer trends, but it is definitely possible that this imitation meat is kind of just a fad. It really hasn't shown any sign of sticking around because it's just in its infancy. There hasn't been enough time for this market to really develop yet. So I think time will tell, but as of right now, it's just a bit too early to know for sure. On to opportunities. So we definitely saw very strong growth potential in our horizontal analysis. There's also some very big contracts that Beyond Meat has kind of on deck. So in particular, we know that they're doing some testing with McDonald's right now. If they end up on the menu worldwide at McDonald's, it would be an absolute game changer for the company as far as growth. I also kind of touched on the economies of scale, but just to reiterate, we think that this will work to their advantage. As their products are more established and they're not putting as much money into R&D, we do think that we'll be seeing their costs driven down, which will help them be more competitive. And then finally, the livestock restrictions. So we think this will drive down the price of meat and make them ultimately a lot more competitive.
What to expect in 2020 for Beyond Meats? Currently, they are developing in the Netherlands to cut exportation costs and to allow for more growth in European countries. By the end of 2020, they are expected to develop in China to reach more countries throughout Asia. Finally, by December 2020, Beyond Meats is expected to fulfill the SOX compliance requirements. There are a few drawbacks and challenges to the Beyond Meat products. First, one drawback of Beyond Meats is the price. Beyond Meat's average price is $12 per pound when the average meat patty costs around $4. If they wish to reduce competition, they need to lower cost of their products. Another challenge and drawback with Beyond Meats is products are highly processed and contain pro-inflammatory oils which discredit the health benefits they have claimed. Beyond Meats is great for the planet but not for the human health.
After careful consideration, the evaluation of Beyond Meat supports our decision to recommend the acquisition. The growth rate as revealed by the horizontal analysis proves that there's a strong future profitability potential. Their established international footprint acts as the infrastructure to support this. There is also the sustainability aspect of Beyond Meat's business model that we believe to resonate well with the core values of the up-and-coming generation of consumers. Finally, Beyond Meat has proven a partnership with significant industry conglomerates. We expect to see their partnership expand in a pivotal fashion, specifically through their current trial of products on McDonald's menus. Our required actions to improve the overall financial condition for Beyond Meat include reduce capital expenditures, evaluate their marketing and advertising claims, possible reconfiguration of the product, lower the product price to better align with competitors, and capitalize on the fast food potential. With these required actions, we believe that Beyond Meat could soar through and pass all potential competitors.
On the strategies for success, so we think one of the top priorities for Beyond Meat is to fulfill all SOX compliance requirements, as they're going to be required to do this towards the end of the year, and we don't want to see them have any issues here. Next, we think they should expand their product offerings, perhaps make some new menu options that are tailored to a specific chain. We think that this could help to promote international expansion and development, which will be key for their growth in the future. We also think it'll be pretty critical for Beyond Meat to recreate their current product to include healthier ingredients. Some of the oils we saw that they're using in their product right now, while certainly you can realize the environmental impact that they're claiming, aren't necessarily healthier than the meat alternatives. So we think there's definitely some room for them to improve there. Moving on to expansion. So we think that Beyond Meat should continue to expand production as a means to meet the demand and accommodate any future growth that we see forward with them, especially if they're landing contracts like McDonald's in the future, which we really hope they do. We think that they should keep an eye on their capital expenditures and make sure that the growth of the amount of money they're spending on capital is aligned with the growth that they're seeing in revenue, as not to throw off the balance. They should also focus on strengthening their brand, and as previously mentioned, improving the quality of their products. And then finally, developing more partnerships. So this does conclude our evaluation on Beyond Meat. Thank you all for your time, and really appreciate it.